Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday, the 20th of October, 2024. And last week, gold reached all-time highs yet again. Silver busts its way through $33. Are we going to see $3,000 gold and $35 silver this week? Well, to find out, let's take a look. Now first, just a quick reminder, we've set up a second channel entitled Finances Do Matter, covering a whole array of financial topics. We've placed a link in the description box and comment section below for those who've not as yet joined that channel. Now gold rose $65 last week, rising from $2,657 to $2,722. Having been as high as $2,725, so it closed very close to its high, and as low as $2,638, a rise of 2.4%. Gold spread between high and low was $87. Last weekend we said gold would trade between 2,625 and 2,725, which it did absolutely to the dollar at the higher end. In sterling terms, gold rose £49, closing at £2,086. And was up €75, closing at €2,506. Now silver performed better. It rose $1.86, rising from $31.88 to $33.74. Having been as high as $34.11, yes, crashed through the 34 level, and as low as $30.80, a rise of 5.8%. The difference between its high and low was quite an impressive $3.31. Last weekend we predicted it would move between $30.50 and $33.50, but it did exceed our upper forecast and closed 24 cents above it. In sterling terms, it's up £1.71, that's £25.91, and in euros it's up 2.20 euros at 31.11. Gold to silver ratio fell from 83.3 to 1 to 80.7 to 1. Cryptos were also higher, with Bitcoin up over $5,500 at $68,368. Equities too were higher. Dow Jones up 412 at 43,275. This means the Dow is up 30% over the past 12 months. The S&P 500 up 49 at 5,864, and that's up 39% over the last 12 months. And the Nasdaq Composite up 147 at 18,489, a significant 42% higher over the last 12 months. And even the good old FTSE Index was up 105 points at 8,358. However, it is only up 13%, that's 13% over the last 12 months. Does this create a buying opportunity, one asks oneself. Oil's encountered a very welcome fall. Brent crude down $5.98 at $73.06, and WTI crude down $6.34 at $69.22. If it can keep down here, that will bode well for inflation in the coming weeks. The dollar index stands up 0.60 on the week at 103.49. Now last week we stated, quote, the only data of significant importance are the retail sales figures due on Thursday, 4 September, with analysts expecting a positive 0.3% up from 0.1 in August and a steady 0.1% rise if automobiles are extracted from the calculation. Well, September's figures came in at 0.4%, slightly stronger than expected, with the figures minus automobiles standing at a rise of 0.5%, slightly weaker than expected. This means normal retail sales have risen by 3.7% over the past year. These figures were clearly good enough to allay fears of a recession at the moment and to encourage investment into silver for industrial demand purposes, but not so good that any proposed interest rate cuts due in November are jeopardized. Now, this coming week, the US economic data being reported does not really contain any major or significant elements which may affect precious metal or equity prices. This means perhaps analysts will look a little more closely at the jobless figures, that's the jobless claims figures, I should say, on Thursday, and new home sales announced the same day. It's the following week that will be most impactful, with the PCE inflation figures being announced along with the non-farm payrolls. So we should have an exciting end of month. It's clear that this past week gold and silver benefited from escalating Middle East tensions, as we suggested last week, and a degree of uncertainty over the pending US election fears. Also supporting this is the high likelihood of an interest rate cut in November. According to CME's FedWatch tool, there is a 92% chance of a 0.25% cut in November. That's 25 basis points. This is also likely as the ECB has cut its rate for a third time, so its standard rate now is 3.25%. Some analysts are predicting $3,000 gold within the next 6 to 12 months because of these cuts. Technical analysts are expecting the gold bullish momentum to continue, with 2,754 in sight. There's also a bull flag suggesting a potential rise to 2,815, though we would suggest there may be some resistance at the psychological ceiling of 2,800. If, however, an unexpected geopolitical event occurs and that level is breached, then gold could sail through 2,800 quite easily. Gold undoubtedly has support at the 2,600 level, and whilst the war premium exists, it's likely to remain above that level, certainly for the next few months. Silver has a very bullish trading goal of $35 and a bearish fallback of $30. We've no doubt that industrial demand is pushing silver higher, as well as the other factors affecting gold. We're not in the camp that silver will reach $45 this year, as some pundits are forecasting, but $35 very soon is certainly quite possible, and perhaps a little creep above that figure certainly cannot be ruled out. We have to also bear in mind, however, that silver production is rising as well, and so we should not get too carried away with extreme predictions. So, our forecast for this coming week is predicated on geopolitical tensions continuing, potentially increasing, but at least remaining at this elevated level. Though some commentators are suggesting that the killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar may stabilize the situation a little. We couldn't possibly comment on that, but we shall have to wait and see. So bearing all of this in mind, we expect gold to trade between $2,670 and $2,780 as its normal trading range for this week, with, if there is a fall, down to only $2,650, and if it does exceed that $2,780 level, we can see resistance, but it's potentially reaching $2,800. And silver to trade quite simply between 32 and 35, with 31.50 and 35.60 as outliers. What do you think? Please do share your thoughts. Meanwhile, thank you so much for listening. We'd appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up, you subscribe, share, and by all means comment. We do read the comments. We may not answer them all, but we certainly read them. Pop on over to Finances Do Matter, subscribe there. We're taking a little longer in changing that channel to what we want it to be, but make sure you're still subscribed. There will be some interesting changes occurring there. Thank you for listening. For what remains of the weekend, enjoy, and certainly over the next 2 weeks, we envisage even more prosperity for our gold and silver investors.